Okay. All right. This is quite a crowd to look out onto. So first and foremost, congratulations to all of my fellow honorees and past honorees. I know there's so many people in this room that have helped me and helped shaped me in this community. I am humbled and blessed to be part of this incredible sisterhood. I'm also so blessed to have several members of my wonderful family here with me. My husband, Jim, who is my biggest supporter, probably annoys a lot of people at parties because he's constantly bragging about me, which I should be bragging about him. I have my bonus daughter, Maddie, here. I'm so thrilled. And Nick is watching virtually, my son, so hello, Nick. I'm very blessed, and you'll hear a little bit more of my story, but I'm very blessed to have a wonderful family. And I have two, by the way, incredibly sweet a new grandson and a 2-year-old grandson that you saw in the pictures. Hopefully we can put those back because they're cuter than I am. So as I reflected on what I wanted to share with you today and what I wanted to say, I really settled on sharing a story of resilience and gratitude. Some of you in the room, I have friends in the room that have heard my story, and they're probably tired of hearing it because I get to tell it a little bit more often than I used to. But I stand before you today as an example of the American dream. I came into this country as a small child with my parents from Havana, Cuba, as a refugee right after the Cuban Revolution. And if any of you want to talk Cuba and all that's going on there, I'm happy to stick around afterwards. I have lots of opinions. But I am the only child to two very brave, courageous parents, Raul and Marta, and I'm a junior, who made the decision to leave our country for me to be able to have a better life and a chance at a good life. My father was a very successful businessman in Cuba, but he knew that the country would never be the same again after the revolution. My parents have been my lifelong influence, being role models of resilience and gratitude. How could I not get through little obstacles and challenges that I was facing when I watched my parents leave everything behind and start over from nothing in a brand new country? They tackled obstacles involving immigration issues, being separated from family that they never saw again, language barriers, food insecurity, and even disabilities. My father had a stroke in 1968 and became paralyzed. He lost his job as a professor as a result of his disability because he couldn't carry his books up and down stairs. I am forever grateful for Senator Harkin, and I think this is the 31st anniversary of ADA. That wouldn't happen in today's world. That spiraled my family into public assistance in Houston, where we lived at the time in my early teen years. But yet, my parents were constantly grateful for all the community resources and the assistance that we had. We were able to become citizens when I was 14, and Sonia, I was thinking about your story and all that you do to help immigrants. But we were able to become citizens when I was 14, and my dad started volunteering after that to teach citizenship classes. He was so excited about U.S. history, and I'm 14 at the time, right? I'm taking it in school and thinking, is he crazy? But he loved it. He was so proud to be in the United States. He was a lifelong learner and always taught me to learn just one thing every day. Look back every day and think about one thing that you learned. How did you grow? How did you learn today? He passed away when I was 19, but he truly prepared me for life, and I look back at those lessons all the time. My mom's resilience continued to inspire me as she had to face life without my dad and not speaking English. She moved to Miami when I was in college in Houston so that she would not be a burden on me as I entered adulthood. So I was on my own at a very early age. She was constantly my rock, and she continues to be that rock as my guardian angel. She passed away 10 years ago, but I had the privilege of having her live in Iowa, which, by the way, she's buried in Adel, Cuban buried in Adel. But she lived with us and had the opportunity to meet her one and only grandson, Nick. So I have a lot of passions as a result of my past: outreach to refugee and immigrant families, working on essential needs, working with youth, and just overall issues around diversity, equity, and inclusion. Throughout my 40-plus year career, and yes, I'm about to turn 60, I'm going to own it right here in front of this group. I've been working a long time. But I hope that I've been able to pay forward some of those lessons that I've learned throughout my life, and I hope that I've been able to inspire some young women and some young leaders. I used to not tell my story. In fact, this is probably the first time I've told it to a group this size. Usually it's my husband trying to get me to tell it after we've had a few glasses of wine when we're with friends. But some of you that again may have some of these incredible stories, and we had to assimilate as a woman, and as a Latino woman especially. We just had to assimilate. So I didn't choose to ever tell that. I'm grateful, so grateful to this community that I've been in for almost 30 years in Des Moines. I came here on the 2-year plan thinking that I would leave, and I'm still here 30 years later, met my wonderful husband, have a wonderful family, and a wonderful community. I thank this community for helping me and encouraging me now, and especially to tell my story in hopes that it might inspire others. I also work for an incredible company that encourages us to do the same and bring our authentic and our whole self to work. As the saying goes, if you see it, you can dream it. Connie Weimer, I want to thank you for being the visionary and helping lift women up over these last 21 or 22 plus years, and for being a champion for women and helping us all make a difference. In closing, I just want to remind everyone that hardships and experience make us stronger. They aren't something to be embarrassed by. They help us be resilient. And I look back at the inspiration with my parents, and I think, wow, if there's one thing that I learned from them, it was being resilient. We learn from them, we grow from them. And above all, don't take anything for granted. You just never know. Always be humble and always be grateful. Thank you so much for this incredible honor. There's so many friends in the room, and again, I'm just so grateful and so blessed. Gracias, mami y papi, nunca los olvido.